Nothing that they made surprised me at all. It was a merchandising feast, and they just all went crazy. They really did. I mean, I just remember walking into toy stores where you couldn't see anything else but Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I mean, the shelves were just covered with it.
Did a lot of answering machines. Well, dude, Michelangelo here from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Phil's not home right now, but he'll be back. Cowabunga! You know, so you get a lot of requests for that kind of thing.
I was in line at the movies, and I saw this little kid, maybe 8 years old. This is a true story. This really happened. And he had a little turtle hat and a T-shirt, and he had the doll. I mean, he was just like a walking advertisement for the show, right? And I figured, I'm going to give this kid a thrill, you know. And I walked up to him, and I said, so you like the Ninja Turtles, huh? And he's got, I mean, he has an ice cream, and he's going, you know, he goes, yeah. And I said, well, guess what? I'm Leonardo. And without missing a beat, he goes, uh-huh, and I'm Donatello. And he walks away, and I'm just like this, standing there talking down to him. And it's like, well, that was really embarrassing. And that was my brush with fame.
I remember going back to Cleveland, which was my hometown, maybe 3 or 4 years into the series, and was at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and my son was playing there, and so I'm just there being this proud dad, but then somebody somehow found out that I was doing Michelangelo and Ninja Turtles and brought their kid up, and he said, Mr. Coleman, my son really wants to hear you do Michelangelo. And as you know, right in, you know, a crowd of people. And I said, well, okay. And so, you know, I said, what's your name? He says, Mikey. I said, whoa, Mikey, dude, you are awesome. Cowabunga! And the kid just looked up at me, and he said, that's not him. And I said, well, it's the best I can do. I'm sorry. But I realized at that point that, you know, even though this kid was, you know, sort of busting my chops, that, you know, here I was out of Hollywood, kind of back home, being able to look back and go, oh, my gosh, this thing is huge.
Michelangelo, that's your 6th pizza in less than an hour.
Have you ever thought of calling Pizza Eaters Anonymous?
I don't know. Do they deliver?
I probably get 25 or 30 letters a month from people all over the world for different shows that want autographs. And throughout every year, there are probably 8 or 10 that I'll get that will say, Mr. Paulsen, you'll probably never read this, but when I was a junior in high school, my parents got a divorce, or my father died, or I was having a real hard time with school, or I used to get beat up all the time, and I can't tell you what it meant to me to watch Turtles or Pinky and the Brain gave me happiness in my life when I had no happiness. And I just want to tell you I can't tell you what that means to me, because I don't see that. We don't get immediate feedback. It's a very anonymous profession. I know millions of people watch this stuff, but when people send me notes and say, I can't tell you what it meant to me that you know, Raphael, or, you know, you called me once when I was in the hospital and I had leukemia. I'm now 32 years old and I have 2 kids, and I lived on that phone call for a month. I really appreciate it. You'll never know, and I'll never meet this kid.
Like at Christmas time, I think it was the law office, I'm not sure, but would donate their floor, and all of us cartoon folk would pile in there, and we make calls, Christmas calls, to kids who'd been submitted, like sick kids and you know, and stuff like that. And it was really rough, you know, talking to these little bitty kids, and you've got cards in front of you that says what they're sick with. You know, this one's got leukemia, and this one's got, you know, whatever. And these little tiny voices, you know, pick up the phone, and you've got to, you know, you're doing this juggling act to make them smile. And some of these kids couldn't talk. You know, they were so sick they couldn't talk. And the mom would get on the phone after. And so I've got to just vamp. You know, I'm going, you know, hey, it's Leonardo. How you doing? And it's like silence. Well, I hope you're doing good. I hear you have to have an operation. You know, and I'm trying to do this stuff to, you know, calm them down or whatever. And I don't have a clue as to how they're receiving this. And the mom inevitably would get on the phone and say, I know, Lisa didn't say anything, but if you could have seen her face,
You get them on the phone, and you realize that right now, at this point in time, this is probably the only thing that's going to pick this little guy up out of his, place in his head and really put a smile on his face.
A great friend named Ryan Jean, and Ryan is the consummate Turtles fan. And Ryan's been kind of instrumental in my life in kind of keeping Turtles somewhat in the foreground, because it's very easy to kind of let it go. And I think I let it go for a long time until I got to know Ryan, and then what was staggering to me was how important it was to Ryan, and how much meaning the Turtles had from really almost a moral perspective. And I'd never really thought about Turtles that way.
Now you understand, my student. Once you were forced to use them, your hidden talents emerged.
You're right, Master Splinter. And I guess we never know what we're capable of unless we try.
But still in all, the Master Splinter wanted to teach his students right from wrong and make sure they were all in a straight and narrow, and would rope them in a little bit here and there.
You don't get that many shots at doing something like that in the cartoon world. There are a lot of hit-and-miss cartoons that are on for 13 weeks or less, and I've had my share of those. But to create something like that was tremendous fun, and the fact that people still recognize it, and apparently it's going through another generation now, which is even more interesting. And of course, through the DVDs, there'll be even more.
It was like a fraternity with a couple of chicks, we got along great, and lots of giggling and lots of silliness, and we get paid for it. And I don't know when they're going to ask for the money back, but it could happen when they realize that we were just playing around.
There are a couple of people who I have kept in touch with over the years who grew up with Ninja Turtles, and it really, really meant a lot to them. And they would say things like, I appreciate you so much because of what you taught me, what Michelangelo taught me about, keeping your head up, or having a good attitude, or, trying to, stay happy and, be positive. And when I was doing the show, of course, I never looked at it like that. I never looked at somehow this character or these lines or this story could somehow be beneficial or meaningful to a kid, in the sense that it really helped them develop some sort of, internal qualities in life.
And we would not be here talking if most people didn't like Turtles. We wouldn't be here talking. It would be just another goofy cartoon show that would be an asterisk in TV history. But we're talking because most of the people loved it.